Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 48 of Absolute Scenes. Just before we start, Billy, I think there's a few people that we need to give shout-outs to who, two of which currently have COVID. I'm not sure if either of them listen, but my sister Emily and my friend Charlotte both have COVID at the moment. The old Ridley Rona, so hopefully they get better soon. And then Simon's little boy as well, Harry, hasn't been very well either. So if he's listening, he's 5 years old. He shouldn't be, because this is not very good for him. Not very good entertainment. But yes, Billy, how are you anyway?
Yeah, good. Like I said, obviously all our friends and listeners and stuff, we all wish them well and stuff. But no, I'm good. As I was saying off air to you, it's been a pretty hectic week. I've been on a course with work. There's like data being collected, which is normal this time of year and stuff. So it's just been working full time in school and then coming home and doing things like that. It's just been hectic. Now, obviously, watching the football as my priorities lie. I've got to, Tuesday night, made sure I had that off so I could watch Chelsea draw 0-0. But yeah, it's it was. In fact, I know we're already jumping into the sport, but it was quite an entertaining game. It wasn't boring as what was it, Burnley v Fulham or someone Burnley v West Brom or something.
Yeah, on pay-per-view for 15
on pay-per-view. Yeah, so it wasn't anything like that. It was quite entertaining to watch. It was like end to end. It was just a case of the Chelsea could actually defend for a change. But no, yeah, I'm pretty good. Obviously half term for me as of 3 o'clock tomorrow. It's obviously, I think it's the same with you as well.
It is.
Most schools now line up so the half terms are the same. But yeah, it's I think most teachers are probably looking forward to it. I don't know how it is with you, but Wales are going into lockdown, so we're having half term and we can't go anywhere. So it's going to be entertaining.
We are free to roam as we please in Dudley because I have lost track of who's under what tier of restrictions, but from what I understand in Dudley, we can do as we please. And what I understand as well is, I know I was talking to my friend who lives in Nottingham yesterday, who was saying that if she was to leave Nottingham, those restrictions would still be on her, even if she came back to Dudley, for example. So if you travel to Dudley, you and your dirty Ridley COVID that you're bringing over here would have to stay in the house that you stay in, which I don't know if that's going to work. But just before we properly start, Billy, I've been putting these on my YouTube channel recently. Instead of
stealing the views, Tom, the views.
Well, it's for our own benefit because I thought that it would get more views, and it did. They had about 50 or 60 views, which is more than we thought. But people are only watching 3.5 minutes, Billy. So if you've got important messages, they need to be 3.5 minutes. So I want people to send us questions and comments in the YouTube section. Section. And somebody that is my dad, who I think a couple of weeks ago,
legend.
He found out that I shared stories on here that I might not tell him in real life. So he started listening because there was a story that I told him about how the bike that I had in university got broken. And I told him that story, and he said, "You never told me that story before." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then Mom was like, "Well, you should listen to his podcast because there's." Did you hear that then? There was the cat jumping on my ukulele. But so he's now listening. He left a comment a couple of weeks ago that says, "I listened to the whole podcast for the first time." So if anybody's got any more comments along the same kind of lines, that'd be much appreciated.
Obviously, my main message for those who are listening up to 3.5 minutes, listen to the rest. That's my main message, obviously.
Let's small steps. Let's just go for 4 minutes for next week.
Oh yeah, baby steps. But obviously, eventually, you want to get to the Rouse and Roach recommend section of the podcast, which is at the end and stuff. And you're missing out on Believe It or Not and the polls and all this amazing stuff.
Exactly. We've got regular features.
Yeah.
But
it's not any good, but we have regular features.
I interrupted you then. You were in the middle of talking something. What were you saying? You were saying about the football. Did you finish talking about the football?
Well, we could talk about the football a little bit. No, I was saying about with lockdown and stuff in Wales. So we're going.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're probably Ceredigion is probably, I think, tier 1, which I think is probably the same as where you are.
I think we might be tier 2 now, but yeah.
Yeah, I think when there was a picture in the paper the other day, and it had like the whole of the UK and stuff, and we're quite low in terms of cases as we were originally. But ironically, we've got more cases now than when we were in a national lockdown. But we've got a week off next week, and then the week after that, here he is, the main man.
It is. Go on, speak,
Frank. You think he's purring?
Say something. You're showing me up. You're making me look like a right fool.
But yeah, we've got another. So first week back after half term, we've only got year 7 and 18 in secondary school, whereas primary schools everything in. So it's slightly different. So we'll be going on to online learning, which I know you've experienced this week. How have you found it?
Well, that's why, Billy, I've got my glasses to hand, my old readers, because what I've found is that it's really affected my eyes. It's really strained my eyes looking at the computer so much. I haven't hated it as much as I thought I would. Maybe it's because I used to do live streams on my YouTube channel where it was just me in a room reading comments out, which is very much like a live lesson.
Yeah.
But there were far more people watching these live lessons than ever watched my YouTube streams. So, I did set the record as well today for the most children attended in a lesson. I think we had 207 children watching my excellent Pompeii lesson this morning.
Wow.
And then yesterday we had like 3,500 comments in the chat while we were talking, because there were lots of multiple choice questions. And if the kids weren't having their names read out, they were just like spamming A or B or whatever the answer.
Yeah.
So it was like thousands of comments. But it looks
like B.
Yeah, it looks like I've got lots of interaction with the kids, so that's great.
That's great.
Yeah, it's been a very strange week. I feel like it's been very busy, but in a very different way. Just staring at and hunched over the computer as well.
Yeah.
Can you hear that noise now as well? Can you hear that? So that's Frank's most favourite activity. There's a pair of tweezers, little pink tweezers that he bats around the floor, and he likes the scratching noise that it makes. So forgive me if you can hear that now all the way through the podcast. It'll probably bring it in here now and ruin the bloody podcast.
But no, I did some live teaching back when we were originally in lockdown, and obviously now, because obviously you've changed jobs moving from primary to secondary, so it might have been it was slightly different there, and it's obviously it is difficult trying to get everyone involved and stuff, but as long as I think if you make it entertaining, they are there and stuff, so it's good. I'm glad you enjoyed, Tom.
Yeah, but what has really been highlighted for me, and I know this isn't a teacher's podcast or an education podcast, but what's so annoying is that clearly the people who have planned these lessons are seasoned year 7 teachers who know what year 7 should be able to do, and year 6 kids, like these kids basically cannot do anything by themselves, which is a failing of primary schools, because they literally have to have everything answered for them. Like
Tom's now a secondary school teacher, and he's on his perch complaining about his former colleagues. It's brilliant.
What do we write in our first paragraph? How do we start this sentence? Do I do it on Microsoft Word? First of all, I tell you all the answers. Second of all, read an example and try and make one of your own.
The thing is, in Wales, we have this service called Hub, where you probably used it, where everything is on. It's this platform which everything goes through, and they've got like the OneDrive, and it provides them with Microsoft 365, which we use in secondary school. But they have, for primary schools, a lot of them there's like a child-friendly version where they've got their own like version of Microsoft Word. It's like J2 Launch or something. So obviously primary schools just use that the whole way through, because it's obviously easier then for you, because you're like, right, well, they're used to it, they get shown it in year 2, and they use it the whole way through until they're in year 6. Obviously some schools do differently, but that's the step is obviously because they've never used like Word, PowerPoint and things like that. It is and the first thing every year 7 does is, what amazing fonts can we make? And they're literally just writing their name 16 million times in all the different fonts to find their favourite. But yeah, it is what it is. You've got to get on with it. Obviously, my subject specialist PE as a live lesson is quite difficult. I'm no Joe Wicks. I'm not going to profess to being Joe Wicks, but trying to. So yeah, so normally we set them stuff, but it's going to be interesting to see how it is. It's only for a week as well, so it's literally, it'll be done and dusted, and we'll come back and it'll be a case of only a week's worth of work missed. If some do have technical difficulties, which event will happen. But yeah, moving on from our entertaining lives as teachers, Tom, is there any other news that you want to discuss?
Let me just check
before we go on to football.
Well, actually, I did want to talk about something to do with football. Actually, first, I'm wearing these ironically as well. I don't wear them at the end of my nose. I do wear them properly. So I wanted to. A year ago today, Billy, the main theme of our podcast was VAR, I believe, and there was the day after our podcast, there was going to be some big review into VAR. So I don't know if you watched the Merseyside derby on the weekend. At the weekend, should I say?
No, but I've seen the incident. If you
there's several incidents on there. So there's the first one is the GBH on VVD from Pickford got the rave on.
Does he not get a nickname?
JP
Pickford.
JP Pizzle. Then there was the red card for, I can't remember the order in which the last two came in, but Richarlison's red card was in the same kind of fashion as the Pickford Van Dijk one, but he actually did get sent off. And then the final one, the goal that Henderson scored, saving Jay Pizzle's blushes because it was a horrendous piece of goalkeeping.
I think it should be Calamity James.
Calamity James. Okay, fine. Fine. Except his name's Jordan.
Oh, there we are. That was wasted.
Calamity Jordan.
Calamity Jordan.
Yeah. So, well, what did you make of So, first of all, the Virgil van Dijk is going to be out for probably the rest of the season, or certainly for
the rest of the
long period of time. But not well. So, first of all, should it have been a red card for Pickford? Second of all, what are Liverpool going to be like without Virgil?
But it's difficult, isn't it? Because it was offside, wasn't it? When it was a foul, when the foul occurred, I'll just call it the foul. It was offside, and I'd raised this. It's a problem with football in general anyway. Where what happens if they're offside and they cause a foul, that sort of thing. Yeah, it warranted a sending off, but then if they sent him off, do they then award a penalty? I think that's the complication of everything that was involved, was that sort of thing. I don't know, but I'm just rolling with an idea. Is if they send Pickford off, do they then need to give Liverpool a penalty? Because they can't do this double jeopardy now, can they? Where they send the goalkeeper off and not. So, on that sense, then yes, they should have sent him off. Yeah. If they're not going to award the penalty, it should have been a red card.
Yeah, I agree. It shouldn't have been a penalty because Van Dijk was offside. I don't think there's any argument about that element of it. But if a player punches a player in the tunnel at half-time, they can get sent off. If a player... I don't understand why it wasn't a red card. Because the tackle was completely vicious. I don't think he went for the ball at all. I think he was just coming to try and put pressure on Van Dijk. He lost control, which is a red card.
From playing in goal for a short period of time, he's just flung himself, which is what a goalkeeper, he has just made himself big and launched himself towards the board. You don't really think about what your impact is going to be. I don't think he's intentionally done it to harm Van Dijk. I think he's just launched himself towards the ball and then impacted with Van Dijk.
But I'm sure there's a rule or a clause or something that says if the player loses control of himself,
it's a red card. It's a red card. What I'm saying is Pickford hasn't. It's not because a lot of people have been comparing it to the Keane Haaland tackled from years ago. It's not like that where Keane has purposely gone in and gone, right, I'm going to break his legs, which I think that Keane has come out and said that's what he was going to do. So I think there was no malice from Pickford, but it's a case of he's lost control and gone into it, so it should have been a red. So then the second, gone.
The Richarlison one, exactly the same thing happened. I'm not sure of the two players that collided beforehand, but the referee had blown his whistle for a foul for that one, and then the two players collided again. Richarlison and I don't know, I'm not sure who it was that he went in on.
Yeah.
Thiago, I think it was.
Probably.
And then Richarlison was sent off. So it's the same couple of points that people have been making all year about the consistency between decisions from VAR.
And I've seen him within one game.
Yeah, and second of all, common sense. We've seen even,
I think,
like the best example is that goal that Aston Villa didn't concede against Sheffield United in the first game back with the restart when the ball basically hit the back of the net, but because the thing didn't go off. But VAR, watching the game in a caravan somewhere, should have known that right, the referee needs to get told that it was a goal. It's just it baffles me how pernickety they
think
are.
It's more.
Well, VAR doesn't do that sort of thing.
It's not. I think. Yeah, there's obviously because it was with the handball as well. It's more. It's the person on the other side. They need to make sure it's a consistent ref. The referee on the other side has to make sure that they are consistent. VAR. We say VAR, but we mean the whole process, not just the technology itself. It's the whole the team and that sort of thing, not the technology, because the technology itself is working. You know, you're able to review it and stuff like that, but they're not being consistent with the decisions they are making with that technology, if that makes sense. You know, the goal with Villa and stuff, I think that was an abnormality because it was not Hawkeye, what's it called?
Yeah, it is Hawkeye.
Yeah. Hawkeye technology. That was, they were like, well, normally they don't check that, whereas why not just you can check it just in case, you should check every goal anyway. But yeah, it's different. In terms of moving away from your favourite topic to Van Dijk, I think that from a selfish point of view, my fantasy team's probably going to do a little bit better because a few of my friends had picked Van Dijk because he was a cheaper Liverpool defender compared to Trent and Robertson. But I think they'll miss him. They'll miss his leadership. I know Fabinho played there last night and he did really well. But it's going to be, they're already linked with White, signing him for 50 million in January from Brighton, isn't it? Yeah. No.
Yeah. But he was on loan
Brighton.
at Leeds.
He was at Leeds. He was on loan at Leeds, yeah. So from Brighton. So yeah, I'm not saying in no disrespect to Ben White. I don't know if that's going to solve their problem. It could be great. But I think they will struggle, trying to, because he's just a massive, massive leader. Because obviously at the minute as well, they've lost Alisson because he's been out injured because they've got. So yeah, there's two big characters there where you would argue that they're two of the main reasons which propelled Liverpool up the league. When they signed those two players, they went straight up the league. Obviously, Alisson's back, pretty soon in comparison to Van Dijk. But this is the time for now, the likes of Man City to strike. Even out, like Everton at the minute, Villa. They're up flying high. It's one of those things where it's a much more open season already because you look at last year where Liverpool, they didn't really lose too many key players early on. Okay, by the time later on where they basically won it, they were picking up the odd injury and suspension, but this is this early stage where it keeps the season tight, which makes them a big difference. So I'm
going to say something controversial now,
just
Billy.
Quickly on.
I'm going to say something controversial. I'm going to put my specs on to do it. Jason Cundy also said it on Talk Sport. Wolves are going to win the league.
See, last season. So just going off your track record then, Tom, that means Wolves will get European football again.
Oh, okay.
No, because the season before, I think it was, you said Wolves were going to finish in the top 4. And they obviously just missed out. So they're obviously just going to miss out on the league now this season and, get European Champions League football potentially. Yeah. And then the following season, when you say they're going to win, the Champions League, then they'll win the league.
Yeah, so my reasoning behind that is the season has been so strange at the minute with so many crazy results. Like, nobody would have thought that Villa and Everton would be the top 2 a month into the season, would they? No, not a single person predicted that. I know there's only been 4. Villa have only played 4 games. They're a game behind most of the teams. Wolves have lost 2 games as well, albeit one against Manchester City, one weird game against West Ham. Their results have been all over the place, West Ham's.
Oh, yeah.
But so long as somebody can be consistent, and I said this months ago, if one team can be consistent, they'll win the league.
it goes back to when Chelsea won the league with Conte, and we went on that winning run for stretch, for like 13 games. We just won every game. The reason we won the league that year, we weren't necessarily the best team, but we were that consistent over that period of time.
Yeah,
we'd got that. I agree with you there. I'm not saying Chelsea are going to win the league, but obviously we're one of those teams which you would argue are very inconsistent at the minute. We're conceding goals left, right, and centre
for fun.
But in the league at least, Liverpool and Seville now, they're the only two teams which have stopped us from scoring. So it seems as though Mendy played incredibly well on Tuesday. Not blaming Kepa for all 3 goals on against Southampton, but
I have
again, they were the second one in particular. Okay, Zuma, made a terrible back pass, but what in Kepa's mind was going on? So much so now, I already texted you one of what I hint, didn't I? Gave you a midweek, believe it or not, with Petr Cech coming out of retirement to be 4th choice goalkeeper. Which says it's all. I think, if we can sort our defence out, I'm not saying we're going to go and win the league, but we'll be a lot more consistent, or we'll be a bigger threat. But it is open at the minute, as it always is. It's open for anyone, especially when you've got the likes of Everton and Villa at the top.
Yeah, I don't think that we will. I don't think we will win the league, but I think we're the most.
Leicester have won it.
We're very pragmatic and very boring to watch, but we do tend to win games and we don't concede many goals. Like Leeds the other day, I don't know if you watched the game or if you've seen any Leeds games this season, but they run like beavers everywhere. They don't stop. They work so hard. I think they are number 1 in terms of running stats, and we were 20th in the league in terms of running stats, because we just sort of, like a tired father, just went, right, you just run all first half, we'll just wait. And we kept them at arm's length the whole game, and then all of a sudden the last 20 minutes or so.
Put on the Roadrunner, and then he goes, meep, and then starts running. Yeah,
well, we actually scored before Roadrunner came on, but nevertheless.
But no, it's one of those, that's I think, it's very ironic, that statement you've just made, because that's pretty much how Chelsea have been, in the Mourinho era and things like that. It was a case of we'd be, right, we'll just sit here, very boring to watch, and we'll get on with it. But I did enjoy your tweet last night. Saying that you watched Man City versus Wolves 2033. So it's obviously a scouting the talents out, but no, it's open, and I think that's what's going to make the season entertaining. But
Right, let's move on then, Billy. So you've already told everybody you didn't bother to do a poll this week, which is disgusting. No. But as soon as you told me that you hadn't done a poll, I did a poll of my own. I did 2 polls of my own, actually. The first one was, should we live stream today's episode? The answers were yes, no, or hell no. 14% of people said yes. 0% said no. So 86% of people said hell no. And there were 7 votes on that poll. Okay. The next one, it said, what should Billy Roach do a poll about today? The options were fruit, vegetables, animals, or cities. What do you think won, Billy? There were 6 votes.
Animals.
It did, 50%.
Yes.
3 people voted for animals. Fruit came second. Cities came third. And vegetables didn't have a single vote. So,
right, I'm going to write that down now.
What's your favourite animal? Well, show everybody your tattoo, Billy.
Well, the problem is with my jumper on, I'm not going to strip on air, but I'll show you half of it.
For the people listening on audio, Billy's showing us his forearm with a wolf, because he's a huge Wolves fan, and then a penguin on his inner forearm, and a kingfisher.
Yeah.
I
don't know if and then
his arm, and we've spoken about him before on the podcast. It's what's his name? Monkey.
And Dexter.
Yeah.
Dexter, that's it, that is. But no,
and then there's a lion, isn't there, at the very top of your arm?
I've got a lion here, and then a lion at the top of my shoulder area, and then a panda on my bicep.
Yeah. Which one's your favourite animal then, Billy?
They're the 6 available things to vote for next week. All of my arm, basically. So a monkey is my favourite.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's my brother is the lion for his favourite, and then my sister's a panda, and my dad's a kingfisher, my mum's a penguin, and my other brother is a wolf.
You reminded me then of that. It's a joke that when I went to the pantomime years and years and years ago, Chris Eubank was in the pantomime, and he said, "My mother was a boxer. No, my father was a boxer. My grandfather was a boxer, and my mother was a cocker spaniel."
But no, it was just like a family memento. Hence why I've just got my family's favourite animals tattooed all over my arm. But what about you, Tom? What's your favourite?
Well, the obvious one would be...
other than Frank, obviously.
He's not in here at the moment, so I can slag him off as much as I want.
Yeah.
I quite like wolves, obviously. But not only because of football, because they're loners as well. But they're loners, but they hang out with other wolves, which I find really weird and very much like me. But Billy, I want to ask you about pets.
Yeah.
You don't have any pets, do you? Have you ever had pets?
We had a dog. I'm sure we had the dog when you came to visit. Definitely when we were in uni and stuff. But he passed away a few years ago now. And we had another dog before him. But we've had fish. Obviously, been varying success, as the main man behind you is as well. But no, we're not a cat family. We've never had a cat and a dog. We were asking for years and years and years, and then my brother finally wore my parents down and managed to convince them to get Jasper, who we had since my brother was 7, I think it was. So we had him for 14 years, I think it was 12 years, I think it was.
That must have been.
But yeah, you definitely did. You definitely
what was
did.
he? A Jack Russell, was he?
He was supposed to be a King Charles Jack Russell.
Right.
But we think that the farm we bought him from, it was a King Charles sheepdog, cocker spaniel, because he was a lot larger than a Jack Russell and a lot more docile, if you will. He wasn't hyper as a Jack Russell normally is. But no, he was great, and I'd love to get a dog of my own eventually when I stop traveling the world. But it's one of those things.
So when I lived alone, I was like, I really want a dog, but I'd work all day and it'd be unfair and whatever. But since living with a cat, and this has been my first like proper pet. I know it's not my pet; he was already here. I'm his pet. But cats are not bad because when growing up, my dad always used to go mad about all the mess that other neighbours' cats would leave on our garden. Yeah. But that's the thing about cats is they like to keep their own house very, very clean. And they go, I don't know where he does his business, but he didn't do it anywhere near me. And the old adage that they're very cold animals and they don't care for affection or whatever. Yeah. Every day that I come back, he comes bounding down the stairs and he just looks at me and stands there for a second. And I'll pick him up and say hello, and then he'll start wriggling and I'll let him down. And that's plenty for me. And if I was to ever live alone again, I'd be getting a cat and I'd be calling him Rui after Rui Portricio.
So I do feel sorry for Alice having to put up with you. But what was I going to say? There was something I was going to say along regards to pets, but after that terrible pun, I've lost my train of thought, Tom.
I'll tell you something then, Billy. I spent all day Sunday, took about 3 hours, but I finally constructed the shed.
Oh, yes.
Which so it now contains the lawnmower and some soil and some buckets. But the garden's looking very, very tidy now to the bottom in my little area. So it's not quite big enough for me to use as a doghouse for when I'm in trouble. But it's
it's getting there. It's getting there.
Me and my friend Robbie, we were joking all through the summer that I should keep my house and not rent it out, and we should rename it the Dog House, and we could both use it for when we are in trouble. Or my male friends could just like pay £20 a month to just have access to this.
Brilliant. Sounds great.
On that theme, Billy, the tenants have moved in, and they're already causing trouble. I don't want to go into too much trouble, into too much detail, but If you moved into a furnished house, would you expect
Yeah.
the landlord to leave the mattress?
Ooh.
Let us know. Call in on 07. Would you leave a mattress? Would you sleep on a mattress that had been left in a
So
rental?
in the furnished houses that I've rented, so when I was in Cardiff
Mm,
doing my PC, they came with mattresses.
right. Okay.
So
It's not working in my favour at the minute.
that's what I thought as much. I was like, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Where is
Well,
your mattress?
it's in the room next door to me now. And
Oh,
that mattress, the one that was previously there, is now in the tip.
Oh, right.
So what happened was a couple of weeks ago, Dad came around my house, and this is a very Ian Rouse heavy episode. But
Yeah. Well, he's now a listener, so we have to.
I know,
mention
yeah.
him.
we went through a couple of things in the house. He was like, just chuck that. And I said about the mattress. I said, I'm going to leave that. And he said, no, you got to chuck it. And I was like, okay, all right, fine, I'll chuck it. And in the end, it turned out to be a mistake because the tenants then arrived and said, well, there was a mattress here when we looked around. And I replied saying, via the estate agent, obviously, saying, well, it's a little bit unhygienic, I felt. And also, particularly in the current climate,
Yeah,
I didn't feel comfortable leaving it. So
that's
shut
what I
up
mean.
and go and buy yourself a mattress.
It might be slightly different now, and I was living in basically student accommodation, which is probably
that is
normal.
different. That is different.
Tom has now left the building. He's had enough he's gone on strike after I've just dropped him in it.
Yeah, I thought you were going to talk for a second, but you just didn't.
No, I didn't.
So, all right, okay. So I've accepted now. Most people have told me that I was wrong and I should have left the mattress.
And I was the deciding vote.
No, everybody I've spoken to has just said, yeah, he should have left the mattress. Apart from my dad, who happened to help remove the mattress, but never mind. So now I've got a fully furnished house that is just not going to have a mattress.
No, it's not fully furnished. It's partially furnished.
Yeah, well, they could have easily slept on. I left them a camp bed. I left them a sofa that you've slept on a number of times, and you said it's perfectly safe. Although when they were doing the audit of my house, it came back and said that the sofa looked slightly worn. So I'll be asking for some compensation for that, Billy, because you've stayed quite a few times.
Sorry.
Anyway,
sorry,
right,
Tom. Sorry.
That's okay. Right, let's move on then to Believe It or Not. Everybody's favourite feature.
It is, but it's definitely your favourite feature. I feel.
Believe it or not. Need a jingle.
Yes, if someone can make us a jingle. Our three listeners, we would. It'll automatically get played. I mean, I'm surprised you haven't made one already, Tom. Being the
that's true. Actually,
the musician that you are, and obviously with your talents of getting on the radio. So yeah, but anyway, so here are your headlines, Tom. Okay, I've gone against the trend now. I've gone all around the globe.
Oh my god!
So this is to get away from you thinking, it's this one because it's in America, or it's this one because it's in such and such a place. So here we go. So I've got a politician. So a Brazilian politician stuffed £4,500 in his underpants. He was wearing during an anti-corruption police raid.
Okay.
Chinese woman brings 22 relatives to a blind date to test if her potential boyfriend is generous. And then finally, Hells Angels are suing the Canadian government over the legalization of marijuana.
Right. Okay, let me just finish
Googling all of those headlines.
So there is still so it's Canada, isn't it? Not America. Okay then. So first of all, I want to ask for the names of the first two stories. So what was the Chinese woman's name, please?
I'm just trying to see. I know that the man
Is there something Wong, Billy?
Yeah, it's Mr. Liu. I obviously don't want to offend anyone.
Yeah.
Is the name of the chap? The Chinese woman.
The Chinese chap.
The Chinese woman wished to remain anonymous. Which probably
very convenient.
Probably, I was going to say, consider it. Well, you could probably ask. I don't know when any of her 23 relatives were interviewed.
Yeah, what were their names?
Thing 1, thing 2, thing 3, Auntie Dolores. I don't know.
Okay. And what was the Brazilian politician's name?
His name was Chico Rodriguez. Senator Chico Rodriguez.
Oh, Chico Rodriguez.
Yeah,
Cheeky Chico.
Yeah. Do you want? Well, obviously, there's.
What was he? Sorry, what was he? So you said he was part of the government. What's his role within the government?
Senator. He's just the senator. Senator
of what?
It doesn't say. It doesn't say.
Fine. And why was he carrying pounds in him? I don't think.
It's just the conversion. It's coming.
What is the currency in Brazil?
It was 10,000 reales.
Reales.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they might have had the euro by now. Okay. And the Hells Angels, they're forever suing everybody all the time. I seem to think so. That could be very, very plausible. So what's the story about the government in
so they've legalized,
decided that marijuana is fine.
So you're allowed to you can legally buy marijuana.
So why are they suing them?
Because hang on, let me find the information now. They've been saying they sell. That's one of their many exports, Hells Angels, and obviously they've now tapped into that export because obviously you can legally buy it, and they're obviously not then buying it from other means such as Hells Angels. So they've now lost that source of income. But
surely they can't successfily sue if this is.
It doesn't say whether it's successful or not, Tom. It just says
but they are suing
that they're suing them. Yeah, there is obviously there is. Is there any more questions you want to ask?
Let me just think. What? I think I've got an idea as to which one is fake.
Okay.
I think I'm just going to go for it, Billy.
Okay.
So here's my reasoning behind this. Okay. I think that the Hells Angels one is true because, as we said, they're forever suing people for various things. I don't know how they can possibly be successful though, because you're stopping us from illegally trading marijuana. Give us some money. I don't think they are going to be successful, which makes me kind of think that might be fake. But anyway, we'll find out. Brazil, the government's very corrupt all the time anyway, so I don't think that's unreasonable for Chico Rodriguez to be nipping 10 grand down his pants. That could well be true. But the Chinese person who's taken 23 relatives, I think is extremely unlikely because of this reason, Billy. People of our age, or slightly older perhaps, from the age of like 40 to 25, I'm not sure, I'm not quite sure exactly, but there's the famous one-child policy, and that's been the case for many years in China. I know it ended fairly recently. So that I don't think that it would be possible for a Chinese person to have as many as 23 relatives.
Okay.
I could, however, be extremely wrong, but that's my reasoning behind my thinking. What if, Billy, the story's not from China? You didn't say that, did you? You just said that she was a Chinese woman. Oh, God. Go on, I'm going to stick with my answer there. Go on.
Okay, so you were right with the Brazilian politician. I have found now that he is the president's deputy leader in the Senate. In terms of his job, but obviously it hasn't consumed you anyway. They were doing a corruption raid, and he hid in the bathroom and stuffed a wad of banknotes in his underpants that he was wearing. But obviously got caught out. They noticed.
I wonder why. Imagine that. Imagine how he walked out of the toilet.
This is the quote. There's a quote now. So he then asked him to go to the bathroom, and according to the police report, an officer noticed a large rectangular bulge under the senator's shorts as he walked off.
What did he say? Is that 10 grand, or are you just happy to see me?
So I thought that was quite funny. So yeah, so that was true, Tom. Now the question, Tom. See, you asked quite a lot about the money involved with the senator. You didn't ask me how much about anything about other than the names for this Chinese story, Tom. Which I think that's what's let you down, because the Chinese story is true, Tom. £2,300 bill.
Oh my God.
Was the potential Mr. Right fled from the restaurant. He
Mr. Wrong.
So he ran off. It was in the Chinese province of Zhejiang. Is it? It was Zhejiang. So that was where it was, and 24 relatives unannounced turned up with this woman. Obviously, and they just ordered the most expensive dish. It's nearly 20,000 yen. Was the cost of the bill. So yeah, it's the Hell's Angel, which I think I done well there, because I think you talked. I had no clue what I was like. Yeah, I'll just do this one. It'll be fine. You talked yourself into convincing. I didn't have to do much for that. Actually, they're suing everyone all the time. Yes, Tom. Yes, Tom.
They do. Yeah, they do that. I'm sure if you type in Hell's Angels sue, they try and, because I'm sure they sued. There's another branch or something, or there's another group of bikers that were called something similar. I'm sure their logo or something. They've been.
I would like to asterisk this one though, purely because so the Brazilian one was I got that from Sky. This one it is on various news websites. Is the Chinese first date stories, but I haven't seen it on any Sky or anything like that. So I'm on the Daily Mail online at the minute. There are other sources available. So it could turn out to be false, because it only broke yesterday. So it could be, some fake news that's gathered steam. So we'll put a pending on this result, Tom, because I agreed with you when I heard 23 family members. It did seem a bit too much, but we'll wait and see. It could be that you are actually right, Tom, and I've just done two lies instead of a truth. Two truths. I've
just typed into Google Hell's Angels and sue. So they've sued Disney. They've sued another group who tried to steal their image as well. Yeah. They've sued a luxury fashion house. And there's a GQ article that says, "Don't piss off the Hell's Angels or else they'll sue you." So they are notorious for suing people. But also, Hell's Angels are massive in Wolverhampton as well. There's a lot of
so if Tom goes missing anytime soon, we know why.
Yeah, it's because I've upset the Hell's Angels,
or they're suing him, and he's gone into hiding to avoid paying. He might have a load of cash wad down his underpants.
Yeah. The only other thing that I know about the Hells Angels as well is that they once provided security for the Rolling Stones at a concert, in which tens of people died. It was horrible because they just beat the hell out of them. But I think that's another story for
another day.
Yeah. So we've been on for a long time already, Billy. So shall we wrap up? Have we got anything else to cover?
You've got a recommendation, Tom. It's your turn to recommend.
Here's my recommend. I'm going to get my highlighter out to just highlight this for myself. It's a Instagram account. It's an Instagram account that you may have seen because he's provided a number of viral videos throughout lockdown. He's a comedian called Alistair Green, or I think his handle is Mr. Alistair Green on Instagram. And he's very, very, very funny. He sort of hit the nail on the head with lots of things over COVID. He also does a live stream every Sunday for an hour from 10 till 11. And they're very entertaining, very, very enjoyable, Billy. Yeah. And people actually watch. There's about 200 or 300 people that watch and call in, and it's very entertaining. So I would that's my recommendation.
How the other half live. How the other half live.
I know, Billy. If only we just put a bit of effort in.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm looking up news stories. Okay, granted, I'm not doing the polls, but not many people have voted on them. So you've had more people vote.
13 vote. Yeah.
You had more people vote on your 2 polls that lasted probably about half an hour than I had that lasted a whole day. So
Exactly.
yeah. But now you're back on Twitter, Tom. They'll obviously bounce back up again.
Oh, they'll all come crawling back now. I'm on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll come
But there we
begging back. But anyway, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do it in the comment section on the YouTube video on the Tom Rouse YouTube channel, or you can tweet us at Scenes Podcast, or send us a message on Instagram at Scenes Pod, and tell your friends about this podcast. For goodness sake, we've plateaued at about 20 listeners, which considering we've been doing it for a year, Billy, to still be entertaining 20 people, that's more can be said about.
I mean, as teachers, we don't do that on a regular basis. We don't entertain 20 people in our daily lives. So to do it in our podcast, that's great.
Exactly. Right. Thank you very much for listening or watching, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.
Bye.